Welcome back to the Unstuck movement. As always, I'm your host, Rob Z. This platform was created to help you break those chains in your life that have been holding you back personally and professionally. Today, we have the phenomenal Elizabeth De Sevo with us on the podcast. And Elizabeth has written an incredible book, Choose Your Moments, How the Sudden Loss of My Mother Taught Me How to Live. And I want to dive in with a powerful question right off the bat, Elizabeth. And I think I know what the answer is, but I'm excited to get into it. What was the hardest moment you had to choose?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I appreciate being here and spreading the moments message. There's several hardest moments, but yes, I all related to loss. So the hardest moment I would say is going on after losing somebody. For me, it was my mother 2 years ago and my dad just this past January. And for other people, that is a more natural loss, but still it's that choice that you have to make of how am I going to live now? For my mom, it was a sudden loss, like that. So there was no choice involved whatsoever. But for my dad, it was the choice of putting him on hospice and letting him go. And in that moment of panicking, oh no, now I'm going to lose a second parent. Oh my gosh, he is going to die. If I make this decision, this is it. And really stopping myself and staying in the moment to be present for him and look at this as a sacred process and, feel privileged that I got to live it with him. So yes, loss can bring up some tough moments, but if we use our power of choice, we can navigate them easily.
Yes, things happen, and we have a decision, we have a choice. Like you said, it's easier said than done. I'm sure that you could attest to that, but you have to choose, and you can choose the high road, middle road, low road, in those situations, and how do you navigate that? So I can't wait to dive into that with you. Before we go any further, I just want to welcome everybody here. The Unstuck movement was created because I wanted to find true testimonies of breakthrough from people who have gone through incredible things, really difficult things like yourself, Elizabeth, and then came through it and made their message. So for the listener, you to understand this is possible for you to find incredible breakthrough in your life. We're sponsored by the Connected Leaders Academy. Check out connectedleadersacademy.com and also the Pro Podcaster Academy. So if you're somebody who's the expert at what you do, you want to be the go-to authority in your field, you want to create a lasting impact on people's lives with your message, with your voice, and you want to make incredible personal and professional connections, you should launch your own podcast. Why not? Check it out. robzwentz.com. Join our wait list for the Pro Podcaster Academy. You will not be disappointed. Elizabeth De Sevo is a writer, business development professional, and former manager of Olympic athletes. Inspired by her mother's passing, she now teaches others how to shape their life through choice, willingness, and intention, as shared in her book, Choose Your Moments. So, as the story you just briefly shared there right at the beginning, you could choose a moment. You could be thrown into a moment and find yourself maybe kind of drowning in a moment. When this was all happening to you in such a short span of time, how did you find the strength or the awareness to choose? Because I think even if you wanted to choose, it could be really hard at a time like that.
Oh yeah, of course, right? I mean, and as you say, life happens, and death, unfortunately, happens as well. But but the passing of my mom obviously was sudden, so I wasn't expecting it. And the first line of my book says it's inevitable that death is a part of life. But what if it was death itself that taught us how to live? And that's really what happened to me. In her passing, I leaned on intention and willingness and choice to be able to go on, because you feel like, or at least I felt like, oh my God, it's such a shock, and what will I do and how will I live? And it was my first big loss, really. Yes, I had lost my grandparents, but it was my first really big loss. And then obviously losing my dad just a few months ago. So choice, it really is everything. And I, understood that at that moment, literally, when I saw my mom the night before her funeral, I wanted to see her, as it was something that happened suddenly. So you almost don't believe it. And I realized that often the things we think matter don't. All that matters are the moments. And now I'm calling them moments, capital MOM for mom. And
Yes.
life is a series of moments, and we get to choose how to live them. And that is key right there, the choice part, that we do have the choice on how we're going to live them. So I made the choice that I had to find moments of happiness, moments of relief, yet meaningful moments to be able to move on, past this, which is for a natural death, in the sense that we will lose our parents, but or any circumstance or change or transition in life that happens, that presents its challenges.
For sure. And the grieving process is very real, and it is doesn't have a time frame to it. There seems to be technically a formula that people have kind of created, like here's the process of how grieving will go, but I don't think anybody can really speak to that unless they've gone through it. How has choosing your moments helped you to get through that grieving process?
It's helped me a lot. I mean, the first thing that, obviously, when I heard that my mom passed, I started thinking, what did we do in these last weeks? Luckily, I was home in New Jersey with her, not realizing that they were her last weeks. Were there flowers in the house? Did she see a good movie? Did she laugh? Did she see the sunrise, sunset? And you realize that it's these moments that really make up your life, not the stressful moments that we tend to pay attention to. So I don't really think that there is a true formula for grief. I mean, I don't know. I'm not an expert per se on grief, but I have used the moments method, is what I'm calling it. Picking up the book and just opening up to any quote and using that to, as my quote for the day. Also to think to myself, do I want to spend my moments doing what I'm doing, thinking what I'm thinking, having this conversation, this argument? You can take it as far as this: do I want to spend my moments in this relationship, in this job? So, to realize again that life is a series of moments, and we get to choose how to live them. And you start to look at life as more as a gift, that every moment is a gift. So I'm trying not to rush through them, and really live them more consciously. They're a little bit more sad when it comes to loss, but again, making that choice to find what is great here. What can I get from this day, from this hour, from this moment?
It's a message we have to hear like over and over and over again, because it's really easy to forget, because you get lost in your day. You got a lot going on. You've got a career, you might have kids, you might have all these responsibilities, and you forget, like, right, I can choose in this moment how I want to react. I can choose in this moment who I want to be, how I want to show up for people, because we can kind of go on autopilot, and especially with stress and all the distractions, you can get sucked out of the moment super easily. I
Very
mean,
quickly.
if you walk
Exactly.
around town, you see people, they're not in the moment at all. They're all on
At
their
all.
phone.
Well,
So
it's interesting that you mentioned autopilot, because neuroscience tells us that we make 35,000 choices a day, and 43% are the same, and that we think 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day, and 90% are the same. So I would say, imagine what you can do to your moments by making another choice,
yeah,
because otherwise, if we keep thinking the same thoughts and making the same choices, we are running on autopilot. There's a quote in the book that says, when you make your habits, they become who you are. And
mm,
sometimes we end up living in this habitual behavior. Yeah, there's another quote in the book that says, change your mind and you can change anything. So it is important to really to take that moment, which is my favorite word now, but to take that moment and realize what you're doing, pay attention to what you're doing, and
absolutely.
also how you're thinking, obviously.
And your word is moment, my word is breakthrough. And so choosing the right moments leads to you having breakthroughs in your life, right? When you
Exactly.
choose your moments correctly, you're going to experience massive breakthrough. Things are going to happen that didn't happen before. And I think John Maxwell said it. There's like four different ways for you to choose and move ahead and find breakthrough. And the biggest one is pain. So usually we learn through pain the most. And so speaking to your situation, it's like painful moments jar us, wake us up. And sometimes we have to, I mean, I don't know about you, but I've experienced like the same scenario over and over and over again, this pain cycle of like, I'm sick of this. I'm finally going to break this. And I think that goes when you lose somebody very close to you. It's like this, especially suddenly, it's this shocking like wake up of like, oh, wow, I've been kind of taking advantage of life maybe. And now I'm going to try not to. And that's what I hear you say whenever you talk about moments. Were you taking advantage of life before this? And is that kind of reshaped the way
It's
you
funny.
go?
I would say that's a great question. I would say yes. I would definitely say yes, and probably any friend or family member would would tell you the same. But what happened is it was such a full body message, and it's so simple yet at the same time so profound. So as I told you, I live in Spain. I have been taking advantage, I think, of life and enjoying it a lot. But I mean, we live in a polarity world. There's going to be good, there's going to be bad, there's going to be, joy, and there's going to be pain. And it's true that we tend to learn more or pay attention more when we're in pain than when we're in joy, which is a shame, right?
Yeah.
Too bad we can learn from the happy moments, as well. But this had just impacted me so much that it just changed my everyday experience. So yes, I was somebody who, I'm somebody who meditates, and I study neuroscience and positive psychology and spirituality and all of that I really like, which would make me somebody who you would imagine pays attention to their moments. But I also live in the real world. Do you know what I mean? Where the moments can get away from you. So this really impacted me. And I thought that it was so simple and easy, and I wanted to make sure to share it. So inside the book, I tell the story of how I came to learn that often the things we think matter don't. All that matters are the moments. And then there's 80 quotes, and each quote has an explanation using the word moments, so you can see how you can easily apply this into your everyday. And this experience, obviously, yes, I was in shock. And I talk about that a little bit in the book of what that shock feels like. And but what ended up happening is, as I got this message of, moments is the way to move forward and to how to live your life now, I want to help people to redefine the word moments from a point in time into a tool that you can use to enrich your life.
I love it. It's a message we all need to hear. You had said that fulfilling moments are the true measure of success.
Yes.
What kind of moments fulfill you? What makes you feel fulfilled? Because that can be different for all of us. I think some of the things are the same, but I'm curious for you, those things that really fill you up, what are those?
Well, it's interesting now. They're a lot more simple than they used to be. So maybe I would say travel and being on the, going to the beach and seeing an amazing dance show or something like that would seem a little bit more extravagant, where now I can be filled in the everyday. Drinking a cup of coffee, especially Spanish coffee, it can really I take in those solitude moments of enjoying a cup of coffee. Whether it's sun or rain, I enjoy the weather no matter what it is. The park, obviously, the beach and nature and things like that. And of course, interesting conversation for sure.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. It's like the connection we have with people, the conversations that we have, and the people that we meet. Definitely, those are like the fulfilling kind of things, especially when you are helping somebody or serving somebody and you're making a difference. It really does have such a huge impact on your life and can fill you up throughout the day. And powerful conversations, no doubt, fill you up. I'm curious, just from a selfish point of view, I guess, a Jersey girl moves to Madrid, and you did that over a decade ago. That had to have been a series of moments leading up to that made that happen. Because that's something that people dream about doing, but few people actually pull the trigger.
It's very funny because in my family, it's like the $1 million question, right? Why are you what exactly are you doing there? So I didn't have what people would say a really good reason to go. my joke always was that, I mean, I was working in figure skating at the time, and I had come over here to work with somebody to build the figure skating tour. We were going to take it through Europe and Japan, which we did. And I just loved it here. And I thought to myself, oh, if I only had the man of my life, I would move to Madrid. Oh, if I only had the job of my life, because that, obviously that job wasn't based in Madrid, I would move to Madrid. And it's like, I don't have either, but I think I'll just move anyway and see what happens. So it was, and that's where I say, follow your intuition. There was something inside of me saying, go check it out, see what it would be like, give it a shot. Why not? And, obviously I told my mom the truth. And my dad not the truth. So I guess if he's listening from heaven, he will know now that, I lied through my teeth saying I had a job and, I had an apartment and all of that. And I didn't have any of it.
Wow.
Yeah. Do you know what I thought? Well, I'll just give it a shot and see what happens. And when I came, Spain was somewhat in a crisis, and they say here crises, and people used to say to me, "Oh, you're crazy to come here. You're never going to get a job. We're in a crisis." And I used to say, "Your crisis has nothing to do with me. Yeah. I'm here for something else. My mindset is focused on something else. I want to see what it's like to really live and immerse myself in this culture. And let's see if I can, build a life here." And I did.
What did those moments teach you? Yeah, you've been there for a while. Obviously, you found some incredible breakthrough. Can you point to some moments over the past decade in Madrid that have dramatically changed your life?
Yes, the way of life here is incredible, and it's just from observing Spanish people as a whole, as a culture, the way that they look at things, the way that they live. I mean, there's a lot more daily enjoyment. It's not rushing, and I hate to compare in a bad way, but so I'll try to keep it on the
we've always Americans as Americans we've always.
Well, I don't want to say that, right? But I do see that. I remember in the beginning where even going to the grocery store, for us being Americans, it's more of an errand. For Spanish people, it was like an event. I mean, we stopped on the way to have coffee and, to going to the different markets. And then you come back and you put the groceries away and then you start cooking, and it really becomes an event. So I didn't see chores per se here. I saw people really just enjoying their daily life. So there's a lot of social interaction. People in general are happy and kind and, polite and welcoming. I love the language. I love the culture. I love Spanish dance as well. So, and Spanish artists. So there's, a lot of that. And it's just looking to see how other people live and to realize that there's so many worlds around us. I mean, I'm in business development, as you mentioned before, and I would always say that, behind every person is a world, and you don't know who or what is in that world. And in your everyday life, you can get, in your little box there and not realize that there's a whole world outside of you, and different ways of looking at things, different ways of speaking, different ways of living. So it's really been an eye opener and very enriching, I would say.
I could imagine, and I love that quote you just said there. That's a theme for life. Behind every person is a world, and you don't know who or what is in that world.
Yes, and sometimes we don't. Yeah, exactly. And sometimes we don't even pay attention. And it can be from the accumulation of our to-do list and the pursuit of success and all of that, you don't even realize who is next to you, who's in front of you, who's down the street, so you just don't know. And when meeting people, an interesting moment, I would say, when my sister came to visit me once here in Madrid in the beginning, I was introducing her to different friends, and she was asking me what they did, and I didn't know. And she was like, "But we're going on," and we were traveling to Alicante, to Altea, which is on the coast of Spain. Which is like, "We're going on vacation with them, and you don't know what their job is." And I was like, "Oh yeah, you're right. No, because it's about us, not necessarily about what we do." Do you know what I mean? And there's so much conversation that doesn't have to do with work. And I'm not saying that, that in a negative way. Our work and our passions are important, obviously. But it was just that we had developed a relationship that had nothing to do with that. And I was used to, in the US, doing, living that way, the other way. So yeah, it was very funny.
Yeah, it makes me think of I always love the quote or the saying, are you a human doing or a human being? And it sounds like, from the perspective that you're giving right now, a lot of Americans, we see ourselves, and I guess you're still technically an American. You were
Yes,
born in
I'll
America,
always be.
so this is you too.
I will always be.
But we're so attached, and I know in business coaching, I mean, I see this all the time. People, their identity is what they do. So without what they do, they don't know who they are. Like you said, they don't even know what to talk about because
exactly.
They're so attached to it.
Yes. I have a quote in my book that says, prioritize how you're being ahead of what you're doing. Mm-hmm. And, and I use that a lot for leadership training, because it is extremely important in all aspects of our lives, but to really, to pay attention to how are we being, are you being nice? Are you being kind? Are you being generous? Are you being thoughtful? It more so than, are you getting the job done? I find it with myself. I had an event last week, and and I was being very busy, running from one place to the next. So I had to stop myself and be like, hey, take a page out of your own book, please.
Yeah. Well, it's good to have your own book where you can pull back and look at yourself and see where you're at.
Good and bad, right? If I say it to myself, no problem. But, then there's the times when people are like, aren't you the one who says...
You're like, shut up.
Yes, exactly. And,
hey, but we're all allowed to have a moment too. You're allowed to have a moment.
Of course. And, bringing it back to grief and to loss, I had to take a page out of my book again when, over Christmas, when my dad went into the hospital, and when I realized that he wasn't going to recover, of course, I started to panic. And oh my God, I'm going to lose another parent, and, and all of that. And there's a quote in the book that says, the difference between reacting and responding is just a few seconds. And so I stopped myself and thought, I'm not going to worry about those future moments when I'm an orphan, and really pay attention to the moments that I have right now with him. And I'm so glad I did, because I was able to make them beautiful for him and for me. If I say in the book that life is a series of moments and we get to choose how to live them, I needed to choose in how am I going to live these last weeks, these last moments, and because it will make a huge difference in my grief process, and and in my life, and in his, and ending his. So yeah, sometimes you have to do that.
And I feel like there's a need to repeat that line. The difference between reacting and responding is just a few seconds, because it's so easy. We just react. And that's like not taking that pause to be in the moment. You're just reacting out of emotion. But if you take a moment to respond, you're going to have much more clarity. You're going to probably say
yes, and you can respond the way that you want. Reaction is inevitable. We are human beings, and we have those quick reactions.
Yeah.
So, but I'm glad that I stopped and was like, oh, how am I going to respond to this situation?
I kind of want to switch gears because I'm interested. So you were a figure skater and a figure skating coach for Olympic athletes. Is that right?
No, I wasn't a skater. If you've ever saw me skate, it's a bad it's a bad movie. I was an agent for figure skaters. So I was doing PR and then full on agenting. So my joke is always, I was the Jerry Maguire of Olympic figure skaters. I don't know if you would know that movie.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
From years ago.
Yeah.
So yes.
Oh, fascinating. Okay. And you completely switched. When did you leave that career behind, or are you still doing that a little bit?
No, when I moved to Spain, a little while after. So I had been doing that for a period of time, and then we got into show production. So there was a tour, Champions on Ice, that was in the US for many years. We brought it to Europe and Japan. So in the first few years when I was here in Madrid, I was, trying to start building my life in Madrid, and then I was traveling a bit to do the tour. So imagine my immigration lawyer when I was like, "Hi, I'm American, and I work in Japan, and I want to live here. How can you help me?" So it was a few years into my time here in Madrid, and then I left and started another job.
Very cool. And so now, what is your main job now?
Well, my main job, I would say, is spreading the moments message. So, getting this book into the hands of the people that hopefully can use it. But I also work for a company called Leaders League, which we do business events. We're media and business events.
Very cool. Because the reason I'm asking this is just because we go through phases in our life of doing maybe what seems like dramatically different kinds of things in different industries, but you can string those things together into moments that have a lot of significant meaning to them. And I love to find like common threads throughout people's lives, their careers, where they've been, because there's the commonalities there that kind of make sense. And so I'm going to ask this. We're going to pause 1 second, 1 minute for the sponsor of the show. When we come back, though, I want to talk about like, what have you noticed throughout those moments of changing careers and traveling that really stood out to you? We'll talk about that in 1 minute. Are you struggling to make consistent, valuable content for yourself? Do you want to have an efficient and effective way to create content that attracts the people that you want to connect with in life, the people you want to build relationships with in business? Do you want to be the go-to authority at what you do, at what you're great at? Would it be helpful for you if you had a platform that connects you to incredible people in your industry? The kind of platform that gets you leads and lands you clients without you having to beat down anybody's door or blow up anybody's inbox. Whether you're already creating content or you're desiring to start and it's something that's been kind of burning inside of you for a while, I urge you and encourage you to check out the Pro Podcaster Academy. Get started right now. Join the waitlist at robzwentz.com.
Hi, my name is Jose Escobar, and I'm the founder and CEO of the Connected Leaders Academy. We're a growing tribe, a community of entrepreneurs all over the world globally. If you're an entrepreneur and you're looking to grow personally and professionally, scale your influence, develop your skill sets, move the needle in your business, more clients, more money, more profit, the bottom line, and of course, grow your circle and your network like never before, join the Connected Leaders Academy today. Check me out on Instagram and on Facebook, the @ JASCO25. We look forward to having you join us. Take care.
Elizabeth, loving this conversation. It's so important to talk about these sorts of things. And I love your journey and how you've done different things in different countries. And I'm curious, is there a common thread that you've found through all the things that you've done and all the places you've gone?
Well, in terms of business, I would probably say business development, promotion, marketing. I love that. And I had started doing that. And before I went into figure skating, I was working at Turner Broadcasting in PR, and right out of college. That's where I learned everything. And then I got into the figure skating world, doing PR for skaters, and then full on agenting, and then the show. And when I moved to Spain, I wasn't sure what I was going to do. My Spanish was not good enough to have any great marketing copy, that's for sure. So I was like, okay, what am I going to do here? So I ended up working at a law firm, which was very shocking to me even. Because I thought, oh, wow, that is, I'm used to sports and marketing and things like that. So I couldn't imagine with lawyers. But I have to say it was very interesting. And the managing partner of the firm said to me, if you can sell figure skaters, you can sell lawyers. And I thought, really? Well, okay. But it definitely was interesting. And then from there, I moved to a legal magazine, and then to Leaders League, which does rankings and business events in the legal and financial sector. So I would say the common thread has always been a business development, promotion, type of thing, and seeing, trying to help other people succeed. I get a great satisfaction out of seeing other people succeed. I did graduate with a psychology degree, and I would say thanks to the lawyers in that first law firm, I ended up getting my coaching certification because I thought these guys need help. They are not going to listen, to me. So I, went ahead and got the coaching certification, which, also that's another way to, to support people in their success.
Yeah, no doubt. And like you said, and I think this is so important. It seems like even early on, you kind of knew what did fulfill you and being able to serve people and help them, right? So you chased after the things in your career that filled you up in that way, and you were good at it. And a theme that I find often, especially in these unstuck stories, which I don't think yours applies to this, but oftentimes people are in an industry or doing something that they are really good at, but they don't love doing it. And so it's a trap, right? It's great that you are good at the thing you're doing, but if you're not really fulfilled by it, makes it really hard. So if you're going to stay in that industry that you're in that doesn't fill you up, how could you find a way for it to fill you up? What could you do to add things in to what you do on a daily basis that did make you feel fulfilled? But if you can match those two things, something you're good at and something that fills you up at the same time, that is the sweet spot. That
well, it's funny that you say that, because obviously, I mean, for me and perhaps for other people, it was easier to connect to sports. It was easier to connect to the Olympics, Olympic figure skaters, beautiful music, beautiful costumes, each program telling a story. And then there's the whole competition aspect. So for my personality, it was an easy connection to love that and to get behind that. When it came to lawyers, I was like, oh, wow. And my dad was a lawyer. My brother's a lawyer. There's a lot of lawyers in the family. But I actually made a list of values that I think lawyers have. And I really had to get in there, from on a spiritual level, let's say, and really, dig deep. And I could get behind that, because that is people who, solve problems. They create businesses. They help us to feel safe. They protect us. So that is what, helped me in that specific case. But I do have a quote in the book that says, passion is energy, not matter. And the reason I bring that one up is because I feel that we have to bring the passion into what we do, right? So we tend to be always looking for, like, passion is something that we're going to go out and get, or that somebody is going to give to us. Yet we have it inside. And, if you're hopefully able to find those things that light you up, and that, that you feel fulfilled, then you can bring that fulfillment with you to wherever you go. And I think once you start cultivating that energy of what you like and what fulfills you, and what, when I was in the university, I used to say, oh, my neurons are firing, meaning I liked it. I think then you open yourself up for those opportunities to show up in your life, to be able to do those jobs.
Yeah, you see moments differently when you look at the world.
Exactly, you see more opportunity. You will see much more opportunity, and and we're here to grow and expand and learn and to be happy. So it would be a shame for somebody to be spending a large majority of their moments doing something that they don't love, or that they don't feel has any purpose behind it.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I heard you saying there too was that it's all about attitude and how you show up, how you come to a situation or a job or whatever it might be. It's your attitude that determines the outcome that's going to happen. If you have a bad attitude, or a fixed attitude, not a growth attitude, that can really have a huge impact on how those moments transpire as you go into whatever that thing is. So how did you develop the attitude that you have now? Were you born with that sort of attitude of the growth mindset, or did you have to develop that?
I would say I'm really fortunate because of my parents. My mom told us we could be or do or have anything. So, and I believed her. So I, growing up in an atmosphere like that is obviously very, very helpful. But if you're not as fortunate as as that, to have people around you supporting, because I also had a lot of naysayers. I mean, people would say, you can't work in figure skating, you're not a skater, and you can't move to Spain, and you can't do this, and you can't. I heard that a million times, but I just ignored it. and and really followed my intuition, and I believe that mindset is everything. So I was always looking for where the opportunity was, because that lit me up. Even the idea of opportunity, which is why I like business development, the idea of opportunity would excite me. And then I would see it everywhere. So I decided to make sure that I had the right mindset and did believe that I could do whatever I wanted, that the world was my oyster.
Yeah, I love that. So good. So as we're coming towards the end of this episode, I want to make sure people can get your book and they know where to get it. So if they want to check out Choosing Your Moments, they can find it on Amazon. Just search Choose Your Moments. The MOM is capital, obviously, is what is it called? Capitalized by Elizabeth De Sevo. Did I get it right that time?
Yes, you got it. You always get it.
It's been almost 35 minutes. I thought I forgot it.
It could go. It could go.
So search on Amazon. Get that book today. You can also find the book at her website, which is right there for you if you're watching at the bottom of the screen, chooseyourmoments.net. And I don't know if we've mentioned this or not, or if you've told me, what is the moment, your favorite quote or inspirational statement from the book, or the one that shows up the most in your life? Is there one that stands out above the rest?
Wow. It's funny. It's like, I don't have kids, but it's like asking someone, which one is your favorite child, right?
Yeah.
So the beginning of the book, I take the reader through a 24-hour period 2 years ago when my mom dies, and suddenly, and then I learned that often the things we think matter don't. All that matters are the moments. And as you flip through the book, there's 80 quotes. I put 80 in there to represent the 80 years that my mom lived. And there's quotes on all aspects of our lives, right? So the book is inspiration for everyday life. So to answer your question, right now, the one that is coming up for me is where you are is a temporary place, because I'm now in a new grief journey. So I do remind myself that this is temporary. I also like for business professionals, your vision will take you even further than your sight. And, to remind us to really have that vision of what we want for our lives and for our business, and to hold true to that, because sometimes we can find that we're engaging in activities or conversations that have nothing to do with our vision. So, to try to remember it. And then I would say for me, the signature one is you are the artist and you are the masterpiece. And, because I believe that we have the ability to design our own lives, as I did by changing careers and moving to a different country. And to remember that we can design our lives.
I don't know if you know this or not. I'm taking so many notes during this episode because they are so good.
Oh, well, thank you. I'll just give you the book.
You are the artist and you are the masterpiece. That's really good. I've heard that before, right? But it's just like one of those things when you hear it again, it's like, yeah, of course. And where you are now is a temporary place. That's so important, especially when you're going through difficult times, because it seems like when you're in a difficult time, it never ends, especially in seasons in life. I'm very much a believer of seasons in life. And when you're in a season, seasons last a number of months. Some of the seasons in life, if they can last years. And so remembering like this is not going to last, it's going to change. But it's going to take time.
That is for the good, for the good and the bad. I mean, in the book, obviously, I don't want to emphasize the scarcity of time. It's to emphasize the immensity of time and tools and resources that we have for a better life. Mm-hmm. But if you look at, your overall life, it is all temporary, right? You're a child for a temporary time, and then a teenager, young adult, and I mean. The time years ago where I had both my parents, well, that was temporary, but you don't really realize it. So realizing that where you are, and especially in a bad time, that it is temporary, but even in the good times. So, so you really can get all you can from those moments. And I look back on my, let's say, childhood memories, or even just a few years ago when I had both parents, and I appreciate that a lot more. And I wish that I appreciated it even more when I was there.
Which can make you appreciate situations that's the gift, right? In the future, now you realize, exactly. I need to be more appreciative of the moments that I'm in because of how quickly they can change.
Exactly. And that's why I started going home more often, even before my mom died. As I saw my parents were starting to get older, I thought, okay, well, let me spend more time with them. And, so you make different, again, back to choice, you make different choices when you realize that. And again, not for the scarcity part of it, but, to make, for the immensity part. I made great choices in spending those times. And I happened to be there, obviously, both times when they passed, and, and being able to share all the moments that I did. So I'm grateful for that.
Wonderful advice. Really, really great breakthrough advice on this episode. So I value that so much, Elizabeth. Thank you for being here. I want to remind everybody, if you want to be the go-to authority in your field, create that breakthrough in your business, I encourage you to launch your own platform. Check out the Pro Podcaster Academy at robzwentz.com. Make sure you get Elizabeth's book. Go to chooseyourmoments.net. Anything you want to leave the audience with before we sign off?
To please choose their moments. to remind themselves throughout the day, do I want to spend my moments how you're spending them?
Yeah, and be aware of that. I love that. That's so good. Thank you so much for being here. This has been another true testimony of breakthrough. Until next time, this is the Unstuck Movement.